Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our bi-weekly webinar. This is Patrick at Qdabra, and today we're talking again about Contact Us forms and SharePoint 3 Online. We've got some. If you were in our webinar 2 weeks ago, we started off with this contact form. We're going to talk more about it. We've made some enhancements. We've also packaged it up and provided a document so that you can deploy it on your sites. So here's the morning in Seattle here from about 200, 300 feet up. So 2 weeks ago we demoed the Contact Us form. We're going to do it again today, but we've added a couple items to it. We tried to get the reminders working in Flow, but we weren't able to. Flow is still a little bit cranky sometimes, and we got Hillary looking into this. So unfortunately, we can't show you the reminders. I will show you the flow that we're using to send out the confirmation emails and whatnot. But today we're really talking about tracking attendance and getting ratings. So the whole purpose of this demo is the Contact Us form. And 2 weeks ago, as you'll remember, we started off by showing you rqdabra.com. Everyone needs to engage customers, right? And the way we do it today is we actually have this Contact Us form underneath About, and it's a relatively simple form. We don't want to force people to spend a lot of time filling it out, so you can see it here. So this was our inspiration. This was our kind of the inception of this idea, was to create a form in Forms, in InfoPath and Forms Viewer, that would replace this. And so what we did was we created this form. Mel Clemente, who's on the call, worked on this. And you can see that this is a relatively, it takes just a few seconds to open, and it works both in the desktop and also in the browser. So if I, for example, scrunch up this window, you can see what it would look like if you were accessing it on a mobile device. So it actually has that responsive design, which is what we want for mobile these days. And this is just opening from our library on SharePoint. So I'm going to submit a request. I want to talk about a product purchase, for example, and I'm just going to schedule a request here. I'm just going to do it myself because I can show you the email integration. So we've made a few changes to this form, and one of the changes we made is we're pulling in information on the availability of these resources based on the time zone. So we've got a couple other lists out here that we're using to populate this time zone. If I say it's not urgent, I get next week. You'll see I have next week here, and I can select a time, 9 a.m. on Tuesday. It puts the initials of the customer here to show that that they've made it, the reservation, so that if they come back into the tool, they'll see that it's stuck, so they can have that feedback there. I'm going to schedule it with myself, and that list at the bottom changes depending on what time they want to schedule the engagement, the slot, the meeting. So if it was 6 a.m., you wouldn't see my name in it because I'm not going to wake up that early every day. But some days I will. Okay, so you can see that I just submitted this. We have in the calendar view, if I refresh this, we have integration with the calendar. So the calendar is just a view on a list, and it's showing this information here. In addition, it looks like I just got some emails. Let's take a look. So I just got these 2 emails here. One, because I'm the one who requested it, and it's saying, thank you for contacting us. That's the confirmation. And then because I'm also the resource on this, it says, hey, so-and-so requested an appointment. Click the link to confirm. So I'm going to click the link, and once again, it's opening up the same form, and it's saying that thank you for confirming. Actually, it's asking me to confirm, and it gives me the information on the person who's requesting it and the time and what the discussion is about. So I'm going to click confirm. There's no rejection at this point. We just request confirmation. And Now next, what we should see is yet another email come through that confirms to the customer that the meeting will take place. So let's go back. It may take a second here. Let's go back and hit update and see if that email came through. And there it is. And so this email then says that, hey, thanks, or actually just an update. The meeting was confirmed. So the first one we sent was pending. You see there at the end. And the next one we sent is it's confirmed. And they have a link to open up for the meeting. Now, ideally, we'd want to send them a meeting request, and then they could just add it to their calendar. So that's the next step. But right now, we've added this link, so they can just click on this link to at the time of the meeting. They'd have to drag this over and schedule the meeting themselves, but they get that. Now, once the meeting is over, the resource can go in and confirm that it's over and ask for feedback. And when they do that, there's yet another email generated which is going to ask the customer to rate the contact. So let's see if we get that. There it is. And I can click on this link and it will very quickly. We're going to show you how we did this in a second. I just want to go through the quick demo first. So we've got this form showing up here now, and it's actually, once again, an InfoPath form in Forms Viewer, so it is mobile responsive, right? And we can click on the stars. We can say a job and whatever and submit. And then it will submit that to a separate library. So there's a two-form solution here. Let's quickly recap. So we have a form in SharePoint. This is just a stock InfoPath form that's being rendered in Forms Viewer that is to contact us. So this is accessible externally. So if I give you the link to this, you can fill this out and request some time with us. In fact, let's do that. For those of you who are on the call, and thanks again for being here, I see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. Let's actually fill this out together. I'll give you a link that you can fill out, because the whole purpose of this is to engage customers who are not part of your network. In other words, they're not part of your SharePoint site. So we have these, Mel, can you tell me where I need to go here?
It's under appointments.
Thanks. And I'm going to right-click on this, copy the link, and put this in the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar chat window. So you should all see this in a second here. And there it is, hopefully. So you can click on that link, and when you click on that link, it's going to allow you to fill out the form, even though you're not logged into our network. Okay, so go ahead and fill it out, play with it, set the appointment out. If you choose, once again, if you choose this immediate assistance, you're only going to see the available slots for this week. So we only have a few left, so go ahead and uncheck that and choose something for next week. And you can pick whatever you want. If you look at the appointments here, depending on the time of the slot, if you choose something early in the morning Pacific, you're going to see a different list of people. So it looks like we've got people using this now because we're seeing a bunch of query lag. So I'm glad that you guys are working on it. Hopefully that's the case. Okay, there it goes. So if I choose Thursday, you can see that I've got these people here. It's a little bit different than if I choose 9 a.m. The people change, and that's pretty cool. So in the future, we need to ask the customer what their time zone is, and we need to update this based on their time zone. So there's still a little bit of an issue there. But just to recap, so we have a form, and the form is capturing information from an external customer, and it's scheduling it by sending an email to an internal resource who confirms it. And then the customer gets the link, and they have a meeting, and the customer gets a feedback form via another workflow link. So we actually have a bunch of workflows here. We've got a library, and we've got a calendar view. We also have the feedback form, and we have a Microsoft Flow that we're using to manage the email notifications. This is a pretty simple flow. We're always assuming that it's succeeding, so we haven't actually done the if-no case. But you can see how simple this really is, just using the status to send email. Of course, we can look at this in more detail and see how it's constructing that email. But that's what you see right there. And it also sends email to the resource and so on. So we'll send you all this as part of the package. And we're providing a document that allows you to walk through installing this on your site. Now, it does assume Forms Viewer. It also assumes 365. Let's go back. If you got questions, please put them in the chat window. It looks like we might have a couple questions here. Dates don't show on time day selection screen. Okay, so Sandra has got an issue with the time day selection screen. It's interesting. Mel, do you want to respond to that? I'm just going to take a look at it again myself.
Yeah, we're actually not showing the dates themselves, and I think that's her concern.
We could change that, though. That would be a good thing to do. Thanks, Sandra, for that feedback. So you're talking about the email, right? I think she's talking about the email.
In the appointment screen here.
Oh, here. Yeah. Yeah, we took that out. It was 2 weeks ago we had that date time in here, and I told Mel to take it out because I thought it was cluttering up the screen. So you can blame me, Sandra, for that. But once they select one, then it will be part of the email. And you need to put in your name, otherwise it won't show the right credentials, the right initials down here. But thanks for that feedback. Let's see. So I want to quickly recap. So the whole purpose of this form is to minimize to automate the process of connecting customers to your internal resources. So this is a sample form that we are going to probably do another webinar on, not next week, but maybe in a couple more weeks. So we'll add in a few more features to it. But we're going to make it available to you and help you install it, because I think it's a good example of some of the benefits you get with Forms Viewer, but also with 365 and Microsoft Flow. So obviously the purpose of it is to reduce the amount of time people spend trying to get in touch with one another by providing an automated business process that connects them and schedules appointments. And we are getting and setting expectation on the urgency, so we change based on the urgency to show them next week if it's not urgent. We specify a callback window, so we have this kind of expectation on when they'll be meeting with us. We get feedback at the end of the meeting from them, and we're also confirming resource availability and sending them a screen. So we showed the integration with the appointments, and that can be synchronized with your Outlook Rich client. We also have integrated this with, obviously, SharePoint, custom lists. We've got 3 lists here, and the lists are part of the package that we'll send you. If we go back to the site, let's see, Mel, I think the lists are all at the top here. I want to show a bunch of lists here. So which one do I want to show first? I forget.
It's at the top level, so could have root site. And
you just want to paste in the links real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. And I'm just assuming you're going to throw them into Skype or something like that.
I am. Here's one for the support resources.
Okay, so the resources are the number of people in your organization that are going to be fielding these contacts. So what we have here is we have this notion of time slots, which so every day we're going to have 1, 2, 3. It looks like 4 slots per day. One at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., one at 6 a.m. Pacific, and then one a little bit later. Slot 3 is at 9 a.m. And for each slot, we have different resources. So for slot 3, Hillary, Jennifer, Jim, Kaudu, and me, and so on. So we've actually simplified this a little bit by creating each row for the resource and the slot. So that kind of gives us something that we can use to filter on the time slot and show those resources based on that. And in addition, we have the definition of those slots, those support slots. So this is Once again, just on each day of the week, so there's 5 days, you can customize it. So you can actually customize how many slots you have on Friday. This is pretty simple stuff. It's, obviously there's other ways to do this, but we just figured we'd keep it simple and just put rows in the week for every day that the slots are there. And for us, it's the same every day, but you could change that. You could customize it and control who's available on which day. And then finally, we have the start time and the end time for each slot. So these slots are defined this way. So there's this 3 lists that we're pulling in the form to control what you see there. And I think that's a good design. It's pretty easy to do it. So those STP files will be part of the package that you get. So that's integrating with those lists in SharePoint to pull the resource, and you can customize that data to make it fit your business and your resources. So this is kind of like OpenTable, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, but OpenTable has this really nice UI for booking a reservation for a restaurant. We're trying to do the same kind of a thing with the Contact Us form. And we've added a couple new elements today, and that's the confirmation for the internal resource along with the feedback form. And you saw those a moment ago. We didn't have those 2 weeks ago. This whole demonstration is really, I think, a showcase for our replacement for InfoPath, which is called Forms Viewer. Forms Viewer is getting a lot of positive press these days. It's been adopted by a large number of organizations, both in the cloud and on premise. It's faster than InfoPath. It's got mobile support. It's got extensions for these new machine learning APIs, Google, the thing on the web that you have the new web services that are defined using JSON. We support JSON. InfoPath didn't, but we can query the JSON web services into our forms. We can also customize the forms with signature controls, GPS controls, things like that to make them even more powerful on mobile. So there's a lot of stuff in Forms Viewer. We're continuing to add designer features. The next release of Forms Viewer is going to be probably at the end of March, beginning of April. So we just released 2.4 literally 3 weeks ago. A lot of improvements in the performance for complex forms. And if you want to take a look, we've been doing this for 4 years now. We've been releasing various versions of Forms Viewer, adding more and more features. If you have a form in 365 and you want rich text, you can do, Forms Viewer supports rich text. Even if you're in Chrome, it supports a whole bunch of things that the InfoPath Form Services doesn't. Most importantly, though, it's a lot faster than the InfoPath Form Services because you don't have these postbacks to the server. And we've got quite a few people on this call I noticed that have Forms Viewer running, and if you've got some quick feedback for people, please let them know. I know some of you are also in adoption. Sandra, I think your team is still in that process of adoption. We want to make sure that we're not blocking you, so let us know when we can engage. But I know you're doing it on-prem. So the history, so we just released this 2.4. We're going to shoot for 3.1 sometime at the end of Q1, beginning of Q2. And the main goal in 3.1 is to finish out these designer features because we want to give you a tool that you can use completely to replace InfoPath. And that's not just the InfoPath filler or the browser form services, but it's also the designer. So we added a bunch of features in Forms Viewer 2.4 here to allow you to design your forms. So you can edit rules now. You can go in and add QRule mappings. If we go into this form that Mel talked about earlier, I can click on this design button, and you'll see that we have added this this rule editor now, and I can look at the rules on these buttons, like the confirm button. And I can actually look at the rules. I've got 2 rules on there, and you can edit these rules in the browser. You don't need the InfoPath Designer. So that's one example of us extending the support in Forms Viewer to include designer features. You can also build your QRules commands. You can add SharePoint list mappings. You can connect to those JSON web services. And we're going to be adding a 5th tab here at the end of March, beginning of April, which is data connections. So we're going to allow you to add and edit your data connections in the browser. You won't need the designer. And then in Q2 and Q3, we're finally going to get around to the layout, giving you a rich layout so you can actually change the way your form looks. And the goal for that is sometime over the summer to get that out. So that's our current kind of roadmap in a rough way. We would love to help you convert your existing forms. It doesn't take much time. That's the one big benefit of FormViewer, is it's a zero to no cost. Well, it's a no cost, zero to very small cost conversion. And we think 0 to 4 hours for most forms. A lot of forms don't need any conversion. You just upload them, they work just fine. And we have training coming up at the end of this month for FormsViewer. So that's it for the demo. I'm more than happy to do it again. Mel, did you have any comments? I know we haven't even showed them. What I wanted to do is I wanted to show the form and show them what the form looks like in the designer to give them an idea of, why don't I have you do that, and you can walk them quickly through the form. And while you're doing that, I'll take a look at the questions. So I'm going to make you the presenter. Mel worked on these forms. She's one of our lead. She is our lead UI designer here and form goddess. Mel, do you have the? There you go. Okay, cool.
Yep. So if you've attended the first part of this webinar, you've seen this form already, and I've shown around, or if you missed that, we've got links on YouTube for that video, but I've shown the basic stuff here in the Kiriaba rules, finish loading, what happens in when the form loads there, and that responsive design that Patrick showed, you know, when the form adjusts itself to the width of the screen, it's happening because of the QRules command called load resource. Makes use of the CSS file, the custom style sheet file that is responsible for that responsive design, the full width.css that we're calling it. And so on form load, this command runs and adjusts the form size based on the screen width. And so what we added here is some get input parameter logic here, another QRules command that checks for the URL. If the key you specified is present, then you can tell the form to do something. And in this case, if we pass in the confirm as the parameter, we switch the user to the confirmation page, which is this confirm view here. Let me go there. And that link is actually what the resource receives, you know, when when a customer, when a contact person requests for that time slot and selects that resource as the support go-to, then that person gets an email, and that link takes him or her to this page where she clicks, or he clicks on this confirm button that then again sets or sends email with a GoToMeeting link to the user. So all that happens in the, again, form load get input parameter, the switching of the views there. And so we also got these this new button, closed ticket and request feedback, that just basically sets the status to closed. And so we have a Microsoft flow that triggers if status is closed, then go ahead and send the link to the feedback form, which we send out to the contact person after that meeting to rate that contact. And so this is the feedback form. It's actually just straightforward there. We're using our rating template part. Patrick, do you want to include this in the package as well as a freebie maybe? Yeah, so here's a cool template part that we designed years back, I think. It's just basically a set of picture images. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, thanks, Mel. Yeah, I think we should include that. It does render a little bit slower than I would expect on these because there's so many images, but no, it's nice control because you just drag and drop into your forms, and it sets the values automatically. So we'll include it in the package today. And I just went through quite a few of the, thank you so much for everyone who responded. I got quite a few contact us and I hopefully confirm all of those. We do have one bug in the flow where it's not sending the right time in the email. We need to fix that. So just if you notice that the time might be wrong in the email that you get, you can just ignore that for now. It wouldn't be a demo without a bug, right? But it's just an easy fix. It's just we need to go into flow and select the right field, I think. Mel, did you want to mention anything else? I think we're pretty much done.
That's it. Yeah, that's all.
Great. Well, so everyone, thank you so much. We have a quick survey this week asking you about your goals for 2018 and how we can help you be successful. If you fill out the survey, even if you don't, we'll send you the package anyway. We're just making a couple minor updates to the package because of some last-minute changes. We should get that out by the end of the day today. And I want to thank everyone for being here, and we look forward to having you. Next week, we're doing a webinar on Formotus. We've got a partner here that does a lot of mobile forms with InfoPath, and we want to show you their latest and greatest, their creator, their forms creator. And that's next week on Thursday with Jennifer Lindsay. Hope you guys can make it. If not, we're putting all these videos on YouTube, and you can look at them at your leisure via YouTube, and we look forward to engaging. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.